game. They beat Madison by a ton,
Wisconsin,
so it was fun. Yeah, Wisconsin, Madison. And
we don't say
see.
like Iowa City beat Madison.
high school stats coming out. Friday Night Lights.
Every once in a while, Martin's sports savvy reveals itself.
West beat Madison this weekend. Welcome to our Film Fathers podcast, the definitive podcast about fatherhood, film, and fatherhood in film. This is Jelani, and with me as always are a guy who doesn't know he's out of tune and a guy who would make a great school board president, Martin and Brady.
I'd rather die drunk, broke at 34 and have people at a dinner table talk about me than live to be rich and sober at 90 and nobody remembered who I was.
Everybody remember, Lincoln Center and its ilk use these competitions to decide who they are interested in and who they are not. And I am not going to have my reputation in that department tarnished by a bunch of fucking limp dick, sour note, flatter than their girlfriend's flexible tempo dipshits. Got it?
This week, we're neither rushing nor dragging as we watched Whiplash on its 10th anniversary. This exhilarating movie about checks notes, jazz drumming, has no business being as good as it is. But we suppose having two amazing actors and a talented young filmmaker on his freshman film, we shouldn't be too surprised that Whiplash is definitely our tempo. What'd you guys think? Best ending ever?
I love this movie. And yeah, I do think it's one of my favorite all-time endings. It's just so good.
It's
JK.
It's so funny because so Mary was in the other room and kind of trying to do something, continually being distracted by the movie, questioning if she'd seen it, and I don't remember if she did, and ended up just sitting down and watching like the last hour of it, and then was just like so upset at the ending.
Oh, she
Really?
Oh yeah, it's just, and I was like, no, I'm like trying, but I feel like you just have to be. So here's the
I
thing.
didn't know it was polarizing.
And that's
There's
why,
both sides, Martin. Both sides.
Yeah,
you got to
right.
look at.
I'm clearly, I don't know.
and that's why I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, I
I
love
personally
this.
thought it was a great ending.
Okay.
But I can tell you there's at least one human in the
Yeah.
world that did not appreciate it. And I think this isn't a movie that you're not getting everything tied in a bow at the end, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what people have come to expect on a lot of movies, and this one doesn't. But yet, I still think, the message is clear. I mean, we'll get into it, right? Like, he found his Charlie Parker. It's
Yeah.
just like all, like
Yeah.
to me, it all thematically makes sense.
Yeah, I think so too. Like this is like the fourth time I think I've watched it. And as I watch each time, there are little hints, little foreshadowing, little things that he says. Like he says that there, you could end up at Lincoln Center, you could end up somewhere with somebody in the audience say that's why he wanted him there to fuck up in front of everybody and
Yeah.
really end his career. I choose to believe that this movie ended with, this is his Charlie Parker, and this is
That's my
He's
interpretation as well.
yeah, this is his success, and he, for both of them, and that's what makes it so good. It's like there's subtle little looks to each other throughout the movie, where they're both like surprising each other or testing each other, and you think it's just that that J.K. Simmons is the bad guy or that Fletcher is the bad guy, but he's not. I don't know that
he's not.
I was going to say there's a line, and I think he crossed it.
Yeah, I mean, well, he says no, but not in the what the movie's saying. I feel like they're saying no, there is no line because it's a
That doesn't
it's a
mean
travesty.
there's no line, but
Yeah,
yes.
no, I understand.
I believe he thinks he didn't cross a line.
I mean, I would have beat the shit out of him the first time he slapped me.
But I would say he definitely here before we're gonna let Jelani will be 30 minutes in before he says something. Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
First time
no, not the first time.
you're loud.
Oh,
I
sorry.
don't. No, it's weird. It's not common for you, but you are definitely loud.
No, this isn't my first time watching it, but what I did find, I guess, in this one, in this version or this watching of it was there were just times when I was like feeling tense. Like I don't remember being tense, but
It's
there
an
were just like
anxiety
parts
movie.
where, yeah, exactly. Like your anxiety's up, like your body's like getting tensed up. Like
Not quite as bad as Uncut Gems, but there's an anxiety. There's a lot of anxiety. In
It's
this
so
movie.
funny. The night of the election, I saw someone, some random, tweeted like, "I'm gonna go watch Uncut Gems to calm down."
That's a great line.
And I was-
it's a perfect tweet.
It's so good, and I was just like, "God damn it!" It's so good.
But yeah, I mean, I question if toxic leadership like this can be successful.
There's again within the frame with what the movie's saying. I think the message is yes. I don't know that I believe that in life, but I think it's an interesting. That's why I think that's why I love this movie, because it's an interesting question, and I think they both. I think Neiman and Fletcher, the teacher and student. I think they both think that it does.
Well, and I think the question asked late before, when they kind of reconvened at that club, and Neiman saying, "Do you think?" Because he's like, "I've never had." Excuse me. Fletcher said, "I've never had a Charlie Parker."
Right.
And Neiman's like, yeah, but do you think you treating people the way you do? Fletcher's convinced that he's finding that by doing that. Mm-hmm. And Neiman says, like, "Do you think you could have missed the guy because you beat them down to a pulp?" And he's like, "No, of course not, because they would never be discouraged." But like, I would argue that's the wrong answer to that question, and the answer is yes. You very much could have missed out. It's finding that perfect blend to a degree. So I don't know that like it doesn't work at all. I think it's probably not sustainable for too long, which is I think what you saw in this movie, and I think everywhere. But some people need it in order to. I think his idea that he's bringing people up by doing it, or in order to find it. I think he's probably right. There are people who will thrive and succeed because of that, but there are plenty who will crumble and fall, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they're failures. It's just that like they shouldn't be together.
Yeah. So as I was thinking about that, like. I was thinking, like, you know, the hit rate on those ones that succeed because of the way that he pushes them was probably like, I don't know, 1% or less than that. But I also thought back to Iowa football with the Chris Doyle situation, and like how all the stories that came out of that was like, yeah, there was a lot going on and a lot of things that were toxic in that situation, and there were some times when there was success out of there, but. Yeah. You know, there were also bad things that people just like resented the program for. And so, yeah, it also led me to believe it's like, okay, well, how do you get close enough to that line without going over? Like as a parent, like you want your kids to achieve the best that they can and you want them to succeed, but you also don't want to push them to the point where they're like, I'm never talking to you again. I have nothing to do with you. And
I'm living it as a coach of a child. I mean, it's finding that line is really tough, and especially because it's different for every kid on the team.
And again, in the context of this movie, I think they're saying, yes, parent, unconditional love, unconditional support. Paul Reiser is there for him. He's telling him to leave, gives him a hug and a kiss. He takes care of him, leaves him gushers in his kitchen. Yeah, parents for sure. This is not going to work for parents and kids. But I don't know. I think the message of the movie is more, or what they're trying to say is that you can find these two that are like-minded. And I never noticed it before, but right in the beginning of the movie, he says, my dad says I should, when he's talking to the girl, I forget her name, he's like, my dad says I should do better about eye contact. So I don't know if they're like hinting that he's on the spectrum.
Yeah, I picked up on that as well.
Which I never really noticed before.
I don't think so, based off the rest of the movie.
Yeah, because it never pops up.
I did
ever
catch.
Again.
I did.
They put it in for a reason.
Yeah, agreed. I did catch that.
Do you
line.
think that was in there because he was so singularly focused? Like his whole life has been trying to become a great drummer. So like his social interactions just don't really exist because he doesn't
like his behavior at the dinner table.
Yeah,
I would argue is completely nowhere near someone who would be on the spectrum personally.
That's a great scene. I love that.
That's more like the Miles Teller that you get in other movies, quick, witty, and that's
something you'll never hear from the NFL.
Forwards. So yeah, I did pick up on that. I don't know I just don't know that they really touched it again, so I don't know what you're supposed to do with that. But
yeah, like I said, I've watched it a few times, and I feel like Fletcher. It makes sense if you're looking at it from the whole time. Like he's definitely he definitely sees some greatness in Neiman, and he's fucking with him every single step he can. Yes, he's human, and he takes it too far for sure. But
he admits that later too.
Yeah,
he's like, no, those were there to push those other inferior drummers were there to kind of to motivate you.
Yeah. And again, it worked. Like by the end, he got him in the flow. You know, that's why the ending's so great because he's just in flow. He's in the zone. He's doing better than he's ever done before, and he doesn't give up. He's thinking about walking away, but he goes right back. And when I laughed out loud this time when I was watching when he just goes, "Mouths, fuck you." I don't know if I missed it before, but he's looking back at him and he's just like, "Fuck you, I'm playing this." And
they're having their own moment. Which, by the way, everyone in the crowd would be seeing that too. All those elite people would definitely be like, they're fucking
something's wrong,
yelling at each other. Pretty much.
I was thinking, like, all the people in the crowd are probably they're going to want to say, "Yeah, I was in the audience when I saw that this whole thing happen." You know, he fucked up that first song. It was like a little avant-garde drumming or whatever they call it, avant-garde drumming. But yeah, the dinner table scene I thought was really good.
The thing that I didn't like was, and this was just me, when whoever the first core drummer was
like Tanner.
When he was being all obnoxious and giving him all the
clearly
BS.
Gay.
With all the slurs.
I'll be honest, didn't really think that at all until he got just bombarded with
everything under the sun.
Right.
But I just didn't like the entitlement that he had. Like, I get it, you're in this group, but
there's no challenger though. He doesn't have anyone turning his page. So whoever was there and got canned.
I was just like, I didn't like that.
I would argue, though, that that's exactly what Neiman gets to. He gets that chair, and then he has the entitlement. So I think it kind of checks out that, like, when you're in that chair, you're like, I'm the man now.
Yeah, that's what I love. I feel like it's impeccably put together. Like, he thought everything through really well. Do you guys think that Fletcher stole the book, right? His music,
but it also feels like it would be. Who else would take a long hallway? It's like it's not like it was like a.
I know they made it seem like he was just around the corner, but like in the like what the movie's trying to say, he just got through 100%.
Saying there's no
if I leave one of these. Yeah, he absolutely did it. Yeah. Like he's just the master manipulator.
Yeah, there's nowhere else it would be, but for sure, and he's the first one there. But like, it just also doesn't. Feels like, Neiman would pick up on the fact that there was a person behind him, let alone
as he's just leaning against the.
Let alone Fletcher.
That's just the way the way it's shot. But yes,
for sure,
pretty sure Fletcher did that, which is just great.
Did you?
What does he call him? Johnny, the other guy,
Johnny Utah.
That's a great pull too.
Turn my pages.
Did you guys ever think that the vein in Fletcher's head was going to pop?
Yeah,
because you see it the whole movie, and I'm like,
and we've talked about J.K. before. Like this was, I think, his.
Did he get an Oscar?
He did. He got nominated, and deservedly so.
Yeah,
he's absolutely phenomenal.
One of my favorite all-time performances.
The note that I had, the first one. I mean, I've seen the movie, so it wasn't like I was, discovering it. But I said, "J.K. historical asshole."
I was going to say, can he crack a top villain list?
He should be.
Yeah, I think so.
If you're seriously thinking about it, like, he is just, without a doubt, he's relentless.
Yes.
Just, it's crazy. And then even the conniving aspect of the third act, right, when they're having what almost looks like an endearing and heartfelt conversation, and
he's the long play every time.
He's throwing him a bone.
He's playing chess, and everyone else is playing checkers.
And then everyone realizes what's going on. And, it's crazy.
I would almost say, like, in the beginning, like, he's not even pulling any punches. Like, in the very beginning, like, he's sitting there waiting, and then just chucks the chair at him.
Yeah.
He's just angry, pissed off when he kicks Elmer Fudd out. And he knows it wasn't him. Like you saw the kid in the long hair. Like you all knew it was him, right?
So, Martin, I'm going to go out on a limb and say you were in band.
No, not really. Only for one year.
Really?
Yeah, trombone.
Just
I
all
didn't even want to
all
be.
personal, all doing it at home, huh?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to play guitar.
For the listeners, I say that because Martin legitimately was in a band.
Yeah,
He just
yeah.
didn't go
I
out
love
for band.
I jammed with people at work today. So
I was in band. Jelani?
No.
No?
Never.
So, yeah, I was a trumpet
you were
player.
trumpet. For how many years?
I would say like 5th into junior high. Did I? I don't know if I did it in high school. I hated it. I wanted out. Mom wanted me to stay in it. I hated it. But I did. I didn't have a stand thrown at me, but I did have a stand thrown because of me.
I could see that.
And-
Jeremy Brady inspiring people to throw shit since 1989.
So the band director, Mr. Prill, I think Mr. Prill feels right.
You ain't got to call him out like that.
Chuck. He definitely was irritated by me. I was fucking around and I was just trying to have fun.
Yeah,
live
that's
my
not
life.
that's not the place to find Charlie Parker. Is West
Liberty.
Liberty's junior high band.
And 98% of the people want to play drums, and they get stuck playing trumpet and brass.
Yeah. Dude, so Colin's in band, and I'm like, do drums, man. I'm like, that's the only thing that would actually translate into something cool. Like maybe if you want
Play
to be a
piano
rock drummer,
or do
yeah,
drums,
right. Like,
unless you could learn guitar already, but
right, and they won't let him. You don't do
You
that.
don't
in
do a
band.
guitar.
But he was mad because a bunch of his friends were like in trombone. And I'm like, dude, I did trombone. You don't want to be there. I'm like, you want to learn
no.
the drums? It's cool.
that brass is going nowhere.
And he was hesitant at first, but I think it definitely made the right call.
But yeah,
So much cooler.
So the band director got really upset and like threw the stand, like kind of definitely not at me or anyone else, but then like went to get it and then tripped over someone's case, which made it like so much worse.
So poetic justice, little instant karma.
It was great. It was great.
So you laugh even more, and then
Yes,
he gets
sure
angrier. He's probably had to leave the room. Poor guy.
Yeah.
You ever think about these guys he was probably like 30.
He was like, milk the cunt.
What? Is that what they say in this movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
15 seconds before he walks in.
Yeah.
It's so random. I don't know. I watched Martin's face as I said that. He got terrified for a second.
Well, I thought you said your teacher said it.
No.
Which would have been amazing.
No.
You just empty your spit valve right there on the floor.
And that's of course you do.
There's
That's
a
the
lot
thing.
of sweat, a lot of spit.
Yeah. Blood, too.
And a lot of blood,
We're
yeah.
now talking about the movie again.
Yes,
But
yeah.
and that's the other part. I was just like, I was curious to dive a little bit into the back story of it all because he's so good at the drums.
Yeah.
And apparently was a drummer, like growing up. Like he was not like professionally trained, but he played drums. So he definitely came in with an ability.
Basic knowledge, basic
but
ability.
had to
so they
learn to play jazz style, which was different.
Mixed. Whole
And he's really like it. There was a double for some of the scenes, but like he's really good. And they said the director said there were times that he would not yell cut, so that Teller would just keep playing and just like exhaust himself, which is obviously looks great and
Yeah.
was needed for what was going on.
Did you, in your research, did you find out if J.K. can actually play the piano?
Yeah, he actually used to play and hadn't for a very long time and had to relearn, but he was able
He
to
did
do
it for
yeah.
these things. Okay. Because that was the other thing. I knew that Teller had learned or relearned it about playing the drums and did a lot of the work in the movie for it. But
I mean, it shows. I think they probably had by the end, a double for doing all that super fast
Right.
stuff. Where it's just like the overhead shots.
Yeah, I think
But
the overheads
I mean,
for sure.
he never looked bad when
Yeah.
it was him playing. So that's good.
Yeah, said the blisters were real. He got those. I mean, which makes sense, especially considering how long they were probably doing this every day. But yeah, the blood, the blood, sweat, and tears, like you said, are really all over the kit and all over him, and just it's such a. You said it's so tense all the time for like a solid hour 40, and it doesn't really feel like you can kind of take a breath.
Well, and even when it's not the music scenes, like even when he's on the bus, and he gets a flat tire, and then he's running, tries to get the car, and then he's racing. He forgets his drumsticks, and then he's racing back.
I had forgotten the car accident.
The car accident, yeah.
I remember. I remembered the car. Like that he went and got a rental. There was all this thing. Remember the sticks, and for whatever reason, that part was gone. And so that when that happened, it totally surprised me.
Yeah. I have a question for you, Martin, because you've played drums, right?
Yeah, I played them today.
So when
last year.
when he gets the blisters,
Yeah.
is it possible to like wrap your hands like a boxer and still be able to drum
Probably, yeah.
so that you wouldn't get those blisters?
Or
do
I
you
think
lose-
we still would, right?
Do you lose the ability
the
to
feel?
feel and be able to do some of the stuff?
flex the pliability, flexibility?
I think you might, as they're showing, like he's putting a bunch of Band-Aids on. I think you play enough, it's going to rub through anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
and
think.
it's going to pop open. So you're just trying to give some protection. But yeah, I mean, it's when you're hitting the cymbal for that long, for that hard. It's gonna happen. I would imagine. I've never gotten. I wasn't the drummer. My brother was the drummer.
Well,
but
get
I
his
can.
ass on the pod. Yeah. Wake his ass
But
up.
he's never. I don't think he's ever gotten blisters that bad. And probably not exactly. And he doesn't do the jazz hold either. It was straight up rock hold.
What was what did the sign say? Something like something about if you like aren't good, you're gonna end up in a rock band or something. Did you guys see that?
No,
No,
But
no,
that's, it's probably right.
There was like a sign. I saw it like twice, like in his room or on the wall or whatever. Damn it! I thought you guys had it. I should have had it down. It was something along the lines of like if you're.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense, right? Like they look down on pop music and rock music, but that I always say these drummers would be amazing in rock bands.
Absolutely.
But it's so much easier to just do a 4 on the floor beat. Like that's why I can play that kind of drums. This stuff that they're doing is insane.
Yeah.
Jazz drumming
Like
is wild.
what do you say? The quarter beat equals 400 or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Which I don't even know what that
Double
means.
time swing, triple time swing, whatever.
But yeah, I think it would just have been hilarious if they had a scene where it was just like sitting there and having like a trainer like wrap his hands like a boxer and
Before
then
he
go
goes
out
out.
there and go play. The other thing that was, again, like I have to give respect to not only the filmmakers but also to the Justin Hurwitz, the guy who did the score, because it's like that jazz is people just putting things together and like how it feels and how it flows and things like that. But then to like write it all out, create a score for a movie like this where it's one guy's like vision and like it's amazing. Like I it's something that I can't do. And so like I'm just, again, the competency porn, right? Like putting together an ensemble, a measure song like this where there's drumming that fast. Then you have strings, you have horns, you have, all the different instruments that are being played to accompany it. And like, oh yeah, this isn't just a movie that we're doing. Like somebody actually had to write these songs and create them. And then...
Yeah, I wondered if they were real, if like Whiplash is a real song.
It is.
Okay. Yeah. It's such a great name.
Yeah.
Talk about. I love the title because it's like you get Whiplash with Fletcher's mood, right?
Yeah,
His mood
right.
swings, and then it's the name of the piece. And it's just a great title, I think. But you were saying the other ones are as well. Maybe Caravan.
I don't know about all of them.
Yeah,
but
but some of them are.
I did see a note that was.
But yeah, I think Damien. I'm pretty sure it's
Chazelle
or
Chazelle.
Chazelle. I don't know. He just did a great job putting it all together. Making a movie about jazz drumming pretty exhilarating. Like when at the end they're cutting back and forth between drummer and JK and just all the little close up shots of something and the way the lighting looked and you saying the score, how it all came together. Yeah, I wouldn't think this would be as good a movie as I find it.
I remember when this started getting a lot of buzz, and it was like, oh, this like drumming movie, and I was just like, okay, I kind of know who Miles Teller is a little bit. I know who everyone you've seen.
Spectacular
J.K.
now.
Simmons
I've seen
at
him
that point, and it's just like like kind of a little bit of like, how good could this be, right?
Yeah,
but because it was getting a ton of hype at the time, because like I think J.K. is so amazing in it.
Yeah.
And then I watched it, and I was kind of like you. I was blown away.
Yeah.
Like it was so good, and part of it is that like tension that it just takes over. And circling back to the ending, like we talked about it in the beginning of this of the pod, there was in an interview, Chazelle. Sorry, I think we all
that's
are
fine.
gonna just
We're
guess
on-
our
we're
way
on
through
that
that.
page.
Of like he said he like wanted to inspire discussion and debate and not like decide, are we happy for Neiman,
Yeah.
or are we like lamenting his loss of humanity, essentially for going down the road that he has. And the debate that he loved was how far is too far.
Yeah.
And I do think that what I said, like I think my wife prefers a nice Hallmark movie with a bow on the end,
I love the ambiguity,
And-
but also clues that you think you can go one way or the
But
other.
I think the problem is if you're watching this by yourself, like I was, or people do, it's like I think the ideal situation is at the end. It's like, let's talk about
Yeah, yeah.
let's have that
Let's have a
discussion.
podcast about
Let's have a podcast and talk about movies of this one specifically and whether we like or dislike the ending. But I think that makes it better. The ambiguity makes it better,
Yes,
and like
I
everyone can
agree.
have their own opinion, and you might not think it's polarizing, but I think it probably is more so than you realize.
Yeah, but he clearly, like you said, the buzz and of this movie let him make La La Land, which was a contender for Best Picture, famously a little bit later, and then he did Babylon, which I really liked as well.
Oh, I didn't
but
see that.
a lot of people haven't seen it. It's really long, and
Is that Leo or Gosling or
it's Margot Robbie
Yeah.
and Brad Pitt's in
Pitt.
it as well.
I was going to say
Pitt?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so he kind of got, I think he got a little bit of free reign to make whatever big epic he wanted, based on the strength of this movie, which again, pretty impressive for a young filmmaker.
Would you think that this was a Blumhouse film?
Yeah, I kind of forgot. I thought it was A24.
It does feel like an A24.
Yeah, before as going into it, I was like, oh yeah, I'm pretty sure it's an A24 because it has that feel to it. But then I saw Blumhouse, I'm like, yeah, they don't only do horror.
Yeah.
Horror, yeah. So, Jason Blum is the producer on this. and it does makes sense in the sense that the biggest thing that they do at Blumhouse is just give a movie a budget and they stick to it no matter what. They don't need to, and this one didn't need a ton of fancy effects, but they still made it look really good.
So did you see that this was a short film?
Yeah, short first, yeah.
And that kind of is how they got their funding
Yeah.
to make it, and then still was obviously a high budget
Right.
movie. But J.K. was in the short film,
Yeah.
but it was a different Neiman.
Mm-hmm.
I think they said they wanted Teller, but he wasn't available. And then when they came around to make the movie, it was like, all right, well now it's either the first guy we used who was not a big name, or
Pretty sure I saw it. I think it's available
Teller.
on YouTube. I think I watched it.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was years ago, so I don't
yeah.
really remember. I probably should have watched it.
I mean,
again.
it was clearly good enough that
Yeah.
it warranted
Yeah.
what came out of it, but it's different.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. It's like watching a comedian do his, work on new material.
right before it's fully polished.
Yeah,
and
before it's
everything.
fully polished, and you see what makes it, what doesn't, and then you see a great movie like this come out of it. It's kind of cool to watch like shorts like that turn into feature lengths.
Yeah.
Is this the best drummer movie?
Ooh.
Was there another one?
So I was just looking it up. Sound
of Metal. I knew you were going to say it. That wasn't that great. It's not really a drumming movie. It's more about hearing loss and.
Huh?
Yeah, it's about. Yeah, that's a good joke. Good job. But
I mean,
yeah,
we
Sound of
throw
Metal.
these out here, and you just like they just go over your head, and you're like, "Oh, there it is, bouncing down
It was
the road."
like half a second later.
Dare I say perfect? Is there any others? Like that?
Yeah, that's the only one I can think of. But again, it's not. This is very much. Whiplash is very much about drumming. Sound of Metal is about the repercussions of him being in a metal band and losing his hearing.
I mean, there's drums and Step Brothers.
Drumline.
Oh, Drumline.
Line. There you go.
That thing you do. I looked up drumming movies, but they're more
That thing you do. He was the drummer. Yeah.
Wayne's World.
I like to play.
The Rocker. That's more the lead man.
Oh, that's yes.
Dwight Schrute.
Dwight Schrute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen that clip with him and Bryan Cranston?
I don't think so.
It's Bryan Cranston saying like, oh no, Dwight, Rainn
Wilson.
Rainn Wilson saying, "Oh, aren't we? We're like the same because we're always going to be known for our one character." Like, he's like, people go up to me, like, and then Bryan Cranston just is like listening, and then he's like, and then he calls him at the end. He's like, "Yeah, you're absolutely right, Brian." And he's like, "My name's Ray." And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Bryan Cranston, perfect delivery.
I have not.
Yeah, it's so good. But any other? Yes.
Yeah,
best
nothing
drumming
else
movie, for
really.
sure.
There really isn't. What was the one you said? That doesn't even come up.
Sound of Metal?
No.
That's,
Sound of Noise?
No, Sound of
No,
Metal.
I don't know. That doesn't even. I mean, I don't know. I'm just on Google.
Well, again, it's not really a
Don't
a
trust
drum
that
movie.
website.
But like, I guess another question would be like, is this the best jazz movie or is this the best music based movie? Which there's so many biopics.
many. Yeah, biopics.
It's probably
and
hard to
other,
say.
Like,
But it's up there for me. I would definitely put it in
Giselle
top
love
10.
jazz? Is that like the La La
Yeah,
Land?
La La
connection
Land,
to-
and Gosling's the jazz lover in that
Fun fact:
movie.
first ever jazz club I went to
It was with me,
was with Martin.
Smalls in New York. Was
Oh,
it
I
Smalls?
wouldn't even remember the name,
Yeah,
but I love that you do.
I'm pretty sure that's
New
what
York
it was.
City,
unless
yeah.
that was London. Damn it, Matt's gonna be like, what the fuck?
whatever the name was.
Yeah.
You, Matt, Tracy, I,
Yeah,
and Serge.
yeah, and Serge, big film guy.
Yeah,
Probably loves this movie.
I bet he does. Yeah. Otherwise, but I don't listen to jazz all that. That's not really my bag. But I get the vibe in the club. Like that's a fun.
Yeah, I
We
used to
did
go
it
to-
in New York when we just went for my trip last year. We went to a Leighton, friend of the pod.
Yeah,
Coordinated a trip for all of us to go to this jazz club and have dinner, and it was. I mean, it's definitely an enjoyable thing to do.
yeah.
It's not something I'm going to do all the time, but
Yeah, when I used to live in Uptown, we would go to the Green Mill, and like every Saturday night
Sure.
late, I would. It was like the same band, like the house band, Sabretooth. I want to say is the name of the band or something like that. But it's just it was just great. You get a booth and
just let it be.
get some whiskey.
Hell yes.
And sing. Back when I was cool and did cool shit.
so other famous jazz movies: Bird, Miles Ahead, Don Cheadle as Miles Davis, Ray.
Yeah, I guess you're going to have a lot of
There's a lot.
biopics. But
Biopics,
that's
yeah.
almost different because this is a fictional tale, which is
Top
why
jazz
I like
movie
it better.
picks. Mo Better Blues.
Seen that one?
So, I mean, there's a lot. Again, I feel it's probably an untapped area just because they're, like you said, not many people dig jazz.
Yeah,
right.
I,
And so,
I would argue this movie's more about trying to be great.
Correct.
This pursuit of greatness, and that's why I like it because it's just wrapped in. It could have been anything, but it's just wrapped in something that's happens to be something I care a little bit about, not a ton about, but it didn't matter.
Wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah.
The idea that it's about drumming. I don't drum. I
Yep.
mean, I think a lot of people at some point in their life thought it would be cool and to drum and tapped and like had parents who were like, never ever will you have a drum set. But like, so I think maybe there's a little bit of a yearn inside everybody that like can relate to a degree. But yeah, it could be
pursuit of
anything is
perfection.
100% accurate. It literally
It's kind of a sports movie in that sense.
pick the subject matter. The theme is the same, and it works. Like
Yeah.
we literally talk about this all the time. So I was really thrilled that you brought it up as an option to watch because it was cool that also surprising 10 years. Shit.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, oh yeah, have you seen this great new movie?
No way does it
Whiplash?
feel like
oh
it's
shit,
10
it's
years
10
old.
years old. Yeah.
But just a really, really enjoyable. Available on Netflix right now if you're so inclined and
Absolutely.
decided to listen to this without rewatching it.
Yeah.
as always,
If you deliberately sabotage our podcast, we will fuck you like a pig.
why don't you subscribe instead? Thanks, and save it for the pod.